Let's do it. Let's talk about identity building. Now, for some of you who are on this webinar that are a little bit more familiar with Level 10 Contractor, with me, some of the things that I've done in the past, then the first part of the webinar is going to be a little bit of a review. We're going to go through the concept of identity one more time, make sure that everybody's on board. Then we're going to go into an identity building exercise where you're going to actually go through this and do this to a certain extent. Then I'm going to show you some examples of what it looks like in real life. And that'll be mostly it for the day. So that'll take us the better part of an hour. Let's go ahead and jump in and start. Let me make sure I've got this going. All right. You know, Josh and myself actually like your picture better than mine, although neither is probably the most flattering picture in the world. So let's keep going. Let's do the poll here. So question for you. How strong do you feel that your identity is right now? Now, for some of you, you may not really understand even what the concept of identity is if you're brand new to this, and that's okay. But do you think it's great? Do you think it could use a little work? Not strong, non-existent? What do you think? Fill out the poll question and we'll see what you think. Now, here's the bad news is as we go through this, I'm hopefully, I don't know, that's kind of a morbid way to say it. Hopefully I'm going to show you that it's not as strong as you think. And that's because I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I found that the majority of companies are much weaker in this concept of identity than they think they are. So let's see, can we see what the results are of that poll?
Yeah. Looks like we got about over 50% said it could use some work, 29% not strong at all, and 6% said non-existent, and one person said it's great. So obviously you're on this webinar.
Is probably a level 10 client, I hope. Okay, well, let's we'll see how that goes. So I review that with you. It was about 50% said could use some work. Is that right? And then about a third were not strong. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. So workshop agenda, building blocks. That's identity. We're gonna, like I said, we'll go through that. We're gonna make this happen. So who's level 10? For those that are new to level 10, give you an idea. I'm the founder and author of a book called Unlocking Unlimited Lead Flow. Been doing marketing for 26 years now. I've specialized in the home improvement, home services space since 2005. And used to be called Monopolize Your Marketplace. So if you've heard that name out there before, then this is, we rebranded about 2 years ago. And the reason we rebranded is we want to focus on working with not necessarily higher end companies in terms of sales volume, but in terms of mindset and just commitment to doing things the right way. Level 10, that's the metaphor for doing the things the right way, no matter what it takes. Worked with some very large companies in the industry. Worked with Hanson's, about an $80 million company that ended up selling out to private equity in 2017. Work with currently about 3 or 4 companies that are over $40 million in sales. But the majority of the clients that we work with are much smaller than that. We work with a lot of clients that are in the $2 to $10 million in sales range. A few that are a little bit bigger than that in the teens and 20s. But the idea here is that we want to help companies make that jump by taking some of the marketing ideas that the larger, more successful companies use and integrating them into companies of any size. And as just kind of a setting the stage, what we do with our clients is we do strategy, we build websites, we do search engine optimization, advertising, whether that be radio, TV, Facebook, YouTube, things like that. We also have services where we do social media for our clients. So that's kind of who we are and what we do. Like I said, I wrote a book called Unlocking Unlimited Lead Flow. It's been out for about 2 years now. And this book encapsulates essentially the entire ethos of what Level 10 Contractor is all about. It's about generating leads. It's about the right mindset to get where you're trying to go. If you look at the subtitle of that book on the screen, it says it's a blueprint for remodeling and home services contractors to make the jump to $10 million plus. That's really what it's all about. do want to mention this before we jump into the content here. We run a daily podcast, Level 10 Contractor Daily Podcast. You can find it on any podcast platform that you're interested in, whether it be Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any of the literally hundreds that seem to be out there now. Because if you don't know how podcasts work, it syndicates across the networks of all of those different podcast players. It is the largest in terms of downloads marketing podcast for contractors. And that might be, Josh, because it's the only one. I'm not really sure if there's any other contractor marketing podcasts. We do daily podcasts. We've been doing it. I think our 500th episode will drop sometime next week. So if you are interested in marketing and you're a contractor, remodeling or home services, I will make you an ironclad promise. If you go look up this podcast, you will find a treasure trove of information on any possible topic you can think of. It's in there. So you might want to check that out. All right. What do? We help remodeling home services company make the jump to $10 million plus by generating unlimited lead flow. That's the mission statement. We have partnered with Hatch, obviously, for this webinar, but also on a bigger scale. Hatch is one of our sponsors for our podcast. We've done lots of things with them. A lot of our clients are using Hatch. And the reason that we partnered with Hatch is because they fill a need that I have been trying to have filled for my clients for 20 years. And that is a follow-up system for lots of different situations, whether it be brand new leads or leads that have set or sit no sales or existing customers, getting them to come back. These are traditionally things that we've done via traditional U.S. Postal Service mail or email, and those two things have cost, hassle, and effectiveness limitations that Hatch has absolutely smashed through the sound barrier. And they utilize a couple of different things, but mostly text messaging. Now, Josh, you may want to say that a little bit different, but from my perspective, it's the text messaging. It is huge. It makes a massive difference, and it's stupidly inexpensive compared to the value that it brings. So I don't know if you want to say something about that, Josh, but man, what a great service, and also pretty good guys over there.
Yeah, need to turn that into a commercial, Rich. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm really excited for the partnership we got with Level 10 here. So everything that we're going to be talking about today in terms of, the strategies, how to build your identity, where Level 10 sits in is they can really explode your business. I mean, the whole premise of Level 10 is growing your business from 2 to 10 million, right? And with the partnership with Hatch, we're able to help you execute on a lot of those growth mechanisms that Rich is going to talk about today from a messaging perspective. So I'm excited for this partnership, excited for this webinar. Let's just dig in, man. Let's do it.
All right. Well, and here's the cool thing. I'm really excited about this webinar for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're going to do sort of this workshop style exercises on building identity. But number two, Josh is going to show some examples of how identity can be implemented using Hatch. And I know how identity can be implemented using Hatch, but this is actually the first webinar where we're going to show some examples of that. So I'm pretty stoked for that. We'll get to that in just a minute. First, let's go to the concept, identity, how to stand out from the crowd. On the screen, all the birds on the wire represent all of your competitors. And then hopefully there's you on the red balloon standing out from the crowd, because trust me, this is what you and all of your competitors look like, all the same. And I am struggling to get this to go. Okay, so here is what you're trying to accomplish. You want to be the red apple that stands out in the sea of green apples. This is what you think is happening. You think that your company is unique. You think that you're the red apple, but I'm going to tell you, based on experience and having done this for years and years and years, here's what is actually happening. You actually are just another green apple in a sea of other green apples. Now, here's what I am not saying. I'm not saying that your company sucks or that you're not any different or better than your competitors. I'm saying that from the outside perspective of prospective clients looking at you and also looking at your competitors through whatever lens is available to them, whether that be online, whether that be through Google searches, whether that be through advertising or at a home show, people knocking on their doors, you tend to look the same. And I want to really lean heavy on the word look. The way you look is very similar to all your competitors. So what we want to do is take the things that you actually do that are different and better, that set you apart and make you different and better and awesome, and communicate them in a way that people can actually instantly, immediately understand, comprehend, appreciate, and that will then make them want to, here's the thing, do business with you instead of all the other green apples. Okay. So here's what I find though. Most marketing is full of platitudes. Platitudes are words, phrases that are drearily commonplace and predictable. They lack power to evoke interest through overuse and repetition. They're stated as though they were original or significant. We've got the best service, the highest quality, the largest selection, free estimates. We've been in business since 1431 BC. I mean, these are platitudes. You think they're moving the needle. Here's one that we see in home improvement a lot. Family owned. And people hear that and they say, okay, I'm not sure how family owned is an advantage. Now, I'm not saying that family owned is not an advantage. I'm saying but that by simply saying you're family owned, it's not something that people can connect dots and draw a conclusion that says, oh, somehow, therefore, that is going to serve me as a customer better. We've got to explain stuff. We've got to, here's the thing, take this, write this down, tattoo it on your forehead. We've got to tell your story. Marketing in its elemental source, it is a storytelling operation. We've got to tell your story so people understand it and they believe it. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Telling your story. Like I said a minute ago, you tend to look like your competitors. Your website, home show displays, print advertising, TV, radio, direct mail, everything else, whatever it is, it tends to look a lot like your competitors, and that's a problem. We've got to break through that, and that's what we're here to do today. Let's do a quick Google search. Now, this is actually screenshots of an actual Google search that I did, but I want to invite you to do a Google search. Now, here's what you probably shouldn't do. You probably shouldn't do a Google search for your own industry because you're in your industry, Google is going to already know from your history that you're in there, and it's going to feed you different ads or websites than it would if you were a cold prospect. But go on there and search for siding or roofing or kitchen remodeling or HVAC and see what comes up. I did this as an exercise for a seminar that I was presenting, I think it was last year, and it was with a bunch of James Hardie siding dealers. And so I went into James Hardie and I went into Google and I typed in James Hardie siding for Dallas. And these are the first things that came up. And I want you to notice what you see here, and I want you to compare it against the definition a minute ago that I showed you called platitudes. Words and phrases that are drearily commonplace, that sound impressive, and they're actually not. So here's what we've got. Allied Siding and Windows in Irving. And then here's what it says. Since 1988, Allied Siding and Windows has serviced over 40,000 satisfied customers with home improvement projects in Texas. We install more Hardie plank siding than any other company in Texas. Now with sales and production teams in Houston, Dallas, and Austin, we are equipped to deliver our award-winning products and high-quality service. This is all platitudes. I'm not saying it's inaccurate. I'm not saying it's the worst thing you could ever think of to say. I'm saying that it does not move the needle because it's very expected. It's like Papa John's. They have better ingredients and better pizza. It's like BMW. It's the ultimate driving machine. How do we know that? Is it really better ingredients? What are the ingredients that are better? People don't stop to think because they don't really care, because they understand that it's a platitude and they understand that it's advertising and they understand that people just say crap. They understand that. So it's this game that we are playing with the consumers, which is we're going to say stupid crap that doesn't mean anything because people don't expect companies to say anything that has any significance or meaning. We're going to break through that on the webinar today. Here's another website that came up, RJ Construction for Hardie Siding. It's got a beautiful house. It's a nice looking picture, but here's what it says. But besides just looking terrible, James Hardie Siding, Hardie Board, Dallas, Fort Worth, Kansas City. Hardie Board Siding is made by James Hardie, also known as Cement Board Siding. James Hardie is America's #1 brand of siding. I want you to think about this for a second. I found this when I did a Google search for the term James Hardie Siding. I already know what James Hardie Siding is, or at least have some kind of an idea, or else I wouldn't have searched the stupid term. And then I've got this this website that comes up and it just tells me stuff that is not helping me understand who this company is, how they're different, why they're better, why I should choose them. Remember the picture of the green apples and the red apple, or all the birds on the wire? This is not breaking through. Let's go to one more. Milland Home Construction, replacement siding, Fort Worth, James Hardy board. Siding is exposed to Mother Nature all day, every day for years. Weather, water, time, fire, pests. It's telling me here's why I would need siding when I'm probably searching because I probably already know why I need siding. Here's what I want to know. Why should I hire Milland Construction over the RJ Constructions of the world? And it doesn't get any better if you continue to scroll down their website. Here's what the result is. You sound like Charlie Brown's mother or Charlie Brown's teacher. Remember from the cartoons, the Christmas and Thanksgiving and specials like that on TV? Remember what it sounded like? Wah, 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 wah. That's what your website, that's what your advertisement, that's what your home show booth, that's what your sales pitch when you're standing on somebody's door knocking on it, that's what it sounds like when you employ, for the most part, platitudes in your marketing. That's what we're trying to get through and past. Okay, what is identity? Well, here's a definition. This would be a good slide to screenshot or to take a picture with your camera. Identity is words, phrases, and images that are articulated with power, precision, and passion that instantly and definitively communicates what? Who you are, how you're different, how you're better, and what customers can expect when doing business with you. That's what identity is. Identity, power, precision, passion, instantly, definitively. They can tell without having to dig down into it too far. Communicates who you are, how you're different, why you're better, what people can expect when they do business with you. That's the definition of identity. That's what we're going for today. I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's talk about confirmation bias. Funny little story. I went on vacation with my family. This is years ago. I've got 6 kids. They were small. And here's what happened. We went to from Dallas to Idaho. It's about a 2.5-day drive when you've got 6 kids. And as we got about 2/3 of the way through the country on the second day, we decided we were going to stop. This was in the days before iPhones and Wi-Fi that was in your pocket all the time. So we couldn't just go online and book a hotel. What we did is we did the old-fashioned way. We pulled over at the actual exit that had a bunch of hotels, and we found this one called Holiday Inn Express. We went in, we started checking in, and as I was checking in, there was this sign next to the counter where I was checking in that said, "Welcome to the Holiday Inn Express, home of the Stay Smart bathroom, featuring the Stay Smart shower head by Kohler." And it had this picture of this giant shower head. Didn't think much of it. Went up into the room, checked in, and next to the TV on the dresser, there was a second sign that said, "Welcome to the Holiday Inn Express, home of the Stay Smart bathroom, featuring the Stay Smart shower head by Kohler." And again, a picture of this giant shower head. So I was intrigued, and I went into the bathroom, and on the counter in the bathroom was now a third sign. Remember, one when I checked in, one next to the TV, and now a third sign on the actual counter in the bathroom. And it said, "Welcome to the Stay Smart bathroom," featuring, and it had 4 things. The first thing, oversized plush bath towels. And I looked at the bath towels and they were big and puffy and fluffy. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Number 2, a bowed out shower curtain rod. Now, this was 2005. So a bowed out shower curtain rod was at the cutting edge of hotel bathroom technology in those days. It was bowed out so that the shower curtain wouldn't touch you and you wouldn't get other people's naked on you when you're taking a shower. So that was kind of cool. The third thing was designer toiletries. So I looked at the little bottles of shampoo and mouthwash and that kind of stuff, and it looked really fancy, maybe European, I'm not really sure. And then the fourth thing, of course, the Stay Smart shower head by Kohler, which I looked over to see it, and I couldn't because the bowed out shower curtain rod with the shower curtain was closed. So when I opened it, what you see on your screen is literally what I saw. The Stay Smart shower head with a sign hanging from it telling me this is the Stay Smart shower head by Kohler, and it features 3 different settings: rejuvenating, revitalizing, and I think relaxing. And I couldn't believe it. So I want you to review this story with me. 1 sign in the lobby, another sign by the television in the room, a 3rd sign on the counter, and a 4th sign actually hanging from the shower head. Now, here's why I'm telling you this. There is a principle at play here. It's called confirmation bias. You can see it on your screen. It says people look for evidence to support what they already believe, and they ignore or minimize evidence that goes against their beliefs. You see this in politics very strongly. Who did you vote for in the recent election? The answer is, it doesn't matter. Whoever you voted for, you hated the other person because they're an idiot, right? And the person that you voted for is awesome and going to solve all the problems that the other idiot is trying to cause. This is what happens in politics. And no matter what your candidate does, it's awesome. And whatever the other candidate does that you don't like does, it's stupid. This is called confirmation bias. You're looking for evidence to support what you already believe. And in marketing, we have the ability to show people what we want them to believe, tell them what to believe, and then they will have this principle called confirmation bias kick in that will strengthen their belief. So if I tell people we've got this great shower head and they see it on a sign, then they see it on a second sign next to the TV, then they see it on a third sign on the counter, and then finally they see the actual shower head with a sign telling me how great it is, then people, this has been proven in surveys, people will rate that shower head as better than if the signs did not exist. And Holiday Inn Express proved this with surveys. After they put the signs in, the shower head, it pulled significantly better than before they put the signs in. Now, what's the point of all of this? We have the ability as marketers to identify things that we do well, and then we can point at them like Holiday Inn Express pointed at the shower head. That's the entire point of what we're trying to accomplish. Here's a question. What do you want people to know about you? There's things that you do really, really well, right? What are they? There's reasons that your customers love you. What are those reasons? The key is to identify them and then articulate them. Remember, power, precision, and passion in a way that's impossible to miss. If prospects cannot immediately tell what it is that you do and what to expect when doing business with you, then you're going to lose. Now, here's what I don't mean. You're going to lose and you're going to never get any business and you're going to go out of business and you're going to go bankrupt. That's not what I mean. Here's what I do mean. I mean, are you going to get as much business as you should be getting? And the answer, I can tell you definitively, is no. You have to tell people what to expect. You have to point at your shower head. Now, the key question that should be rolling around in your brain right now is, okay, well, what are my shower heads? And that's what we're going to cover in this webinar today, okay? Before we cover that, I want you to look at this graphic and understand how this works. Your identity becomes the hub from whence all of your marketing flows. Your website is based on your identity. Your print ads and mailers, your online ads, TV and radio ads, all based on your identity. Home shows, phone scripts, in-house sales, all based on your identity. You'll see up there on the upper left at about 11 o'clock, it says your bread and butter. Here's what your bread and butter is. It's whatever you do in your marketing that always seems to consistently and reliably work to generate leads for you. It could be any of the other things that are already listed on this graphic. It could be something completely different. Whatever it is that you do that is your bread and butter that you can count on, let's take your identity, integrate it into that thing, and watch it work even better. That's what we're here to talk about today, identity. All right, so let me give you an example here. This is a website called Upscale Remodeling. You can look this up on your own later if you want to. And at the top here is what's called a slider. And you can see as it slides, it's going to bring in different pictures. Now, this is a static screenshot, not actually the website live. If you wanted to look at the website live, you could do that. I invite you to do that. And I'll give you several examples of several websites that you can go look at. But here's what you need to notice about this. It's identity. Look at what it says on this particular slider. We focus on every single detail of every single job. That's how we guarantee 100% satisfaction, start to finish, no exceptions. This is called powerful language. Power, precision, and passion. Now, when that slides, it's going to bring up another headline that's going to be equally as powerful. But here's what I want you to see. I'm going to scroll down now. I'm actually going to change slides, but it represents what you see if you were to scroll down. And here's what it says. Welcome to stress-free, quality first, not done until you say it's done remodeling. Successful remodeling doesn't happen by accident. It's deliberate, measured, and absolutely on purpose. We're sticklers for details. We obsess over perfection, so we're not the fastest and we're not the cheapest. According to our clients, we're simply the best. Then you can see a little call out there, what to expect when you hire the best. Now, the word best all by itself is a platitude, but we're using stories, comparisons, examples to help people understand that when we say best, it actually has some meat on the bones, right? This is telling the story, not just outlining it. What to expect when you hire the best: quality without compromise, no sales pressure, a detailed quote, professional workers. And then each of those can be clicked on to see additional information where we tell those stories. Okay. If you look at the text on this, does it really matter how a remodeler feels about remodeling? That's kind of a weird question, I know, but it's one that's extremely important. I started this company because I absolutely love remodeling. My father and grandfather were both remodeling contractors right here in Ithaca. I began working for them when I was just 9 years old. It's all I've ever known and all I ever wanted to do. I continued working with my father throughout high school and went to construction college in 1988. In 1992, I started this company with a dream of creating literally the world's greatest remodeling company. I recruited a dream team. And then you can read the rest if you want to go to the website. Now, some people might look at that and say, that's a lot of text. And the answer is, but you're about to spend $40 to $80 to $100,000 to hire somebody to come in and remodel your freaking house. Do you think you might want to know a little bit about who they are, how they're different, why they're better, and what you can expect when you do business? Now, here's the real question. I'm going to ask you this, and I want you to answer it for real. I want you to answer this question. When you see what's on this website, it's on your screen right now. Here's the question for you. Can you tell who this company is, how they're different, why they're better, and what you can expect when you do business with them? The answer is, yeah, of course you can, because we've taken the time to talk about it and spell it out. Now, here's a website called Solid State Construction. I'm going to invite you to look this up yourself so you can see more details. We don't have time by the nature of this presentation to go through a bunch of examples. I will show you specific examples of identity in just a minute, but I want you to go to this website. Here's another one called Exterior Pro. And actually, let me just put this on the screen. Take a screenshot of this or get your camera from your phone and take a picture. Go look these up later. These are all websites that we've built that you can look at that will give you an idea of what it looks like when identity is integrated into a website. I want you to go to those websites and just fiddle around, go look, see what you find, and you'll get an idea for this. Now, here's what I really want to focus on though right now. I want to focus on how to implement this and how to do it. Okay, so everything up to this point is, hey, here's what it is, identity, and here's why you need it, because you're going to stand out from the crowd. Now, here's how you actually do it. So here's what it is. First thing that we're going to do is identify 2 to 5 identity points from each of what I call the 5 pillars of identity. Now, I'm going to show you a graphic here in just a minute that has the 5 pillars of identity. So I'll show those to you in just a minute. Right now, just hold tight, okay? Next, we're going to find stories, examples, and comparisons to bring those identity points to life. Next, after we've done that, then you're going to write blog posts that tell those stories. And when you do that and put them on your website, it's going to benefit humans and Google. People that read them are going to love them and fall in love with your company. And also Google's going to notice that these are highly engaging blog posts. People are spending more time clicking through what we call digging through your website. We call this diggable content. And look, the SEO Google algorithm is scary and everybody's terrified of it and it's changing all the time. There's truth to that, but here's the bigger truth. The bigger truth is that the number one thing that Google is looking for is engagement. If your website is engaging, and that's measured by Google in terms of how many pages people visit and how long they stay on the pages and how many total minutes they stay on your page relative to other sites that do the same thing roughly that you do. If you've got the most engaging website, you are going to raise in the rankings faster than any other thing that you could do with all the bullcrap SEO nonsense that most people are trying to hack and figure out. It's called engagement. Actually, a website that people actually like, want to read, and spend time on. Okay. Then you're going to take those blog posts and transform into videos, advertisements, social media posts, print ads, everything else that you need. Remember that graphic where identity was in the middle and then we put them all over the place? That's what we're going to do. This is the process. So let's start and let's go through it. All right. So let's talk about the 5 pillars of identity. The first pillar is your products. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at this as it relates to your products, and I want you to think what makes your company, and specifically your products, different or better. Are they stronger and more durable? Are they more energy efficient? Do they look better? Do they come in more colors? Are they more secure? Do they operate better or easier? Do you have a better selection? Manufacturers' warranties are better? Do you have brand names that people want? Do they last longer or more effective? Is it a tighter fit, heavy duty? What is it about your products? Now, you're probably going to look at that list and you're going to have one of two thoughts. One thought might be, well, I'm a kitchen remodeler and really it's just all custom construction, so none of that really necessarily fits. Fair enough. But if you've got windows, siding, roofing, gutters, HVAC, those kinds of things, then this pillar, it's really, really important. The other thing you might be thinking is, well, all of those things are important and good, and we excel at all of those things, or at least most of those things. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think which 2 or 3 or 4 of those on that list really map most closely to the DNA of your company. Okay. And in this case, your products. Now I'm going to show you pillar number 2, workmanship. Workmanship wouldn't fit all in one line. So it's work-manship. That's kind of weird, but here's what that means. No cutting corners, attention to detail. Which of these things do you really do well in your company? Done right the first time? Do you slow down for quality? Quality of materials that you use, the experience and expertise of your workers, worker oversight. Maybe it's that you don't use subs, training, installation standards, warranties. Let me be very clear. You might look at this list and say, well, we do use subs. So are you saying that we suck? And the answer is no. What I'm saying is, if you can determine what it is that you do, then you're going to build a case based on those products. So here's what you might want to do is in the chat, if you want to put the ones that apply to your company, then I can see those and we can have a discussion about them. Let's go to the third pillar, which is what I call bedside manner, right? They talk about that with doctors, how they treat you while you're in the hospital. Well, how do you treat your customers? Here's some of the elements of that. Are you punctual? Communication? Do you excel at that? Give accurate quotes, no sales pressure, no pricing games, cleaning up and being clean, worker appearance, hiring standards, kind and courteous, listening, respect your customers, professionalism, finish on time and on budget. Which of these things really map most closely to your company? These are going to be the base level identity points that we're going to start working from. The fourth pillar is core values: integrity, respect, compassion, teamwork, enthusiasm, accountability, trustworthy, friendly, reliability, consumer advocacy, trust, loyalty, and service. Which of these core values do you lean into the most? And finally, the last one is what I call culture and reputation. It's going to have to do with your company culture. Maybe it's community outreach, your reputation, financial stability, origin stories of your company, financing, awards and accolades, associations, the heritage or history of your company, promises that you make. Maybe it's employee spotlights. This pillar contains some things that just don't conveniently fit under the other 4 pillars. So here's what I want you to do right now. And I want you to actually do this. I want you to select the top 3 from each of the pillars that map most closely to your business. I want you to do it right now. Look, you're on a webinar. You're not driving probably. So get out a pencil or a piece of paper or whatever it is you write with. Do notes on your phone and write from each of these 3 categories, each of these 5 pillars, which 3 most closely map to your company. Okay? Do it. And then look, put this into the chat. Let's see what your company has to say about this. And I'm going to type it right here. This silence is me waiting for you to write these down. Guess what happens when we do an identity consultation with our new clients? Scott, you've done this before. Rebecca, you've done this before. You know how this works, right? We sit down with you and we say, okay, when it comes to workmanship, what do you excel at? Is it not cutting corners? Is it attention to detail? Is it that you do things right the first time? And then people will very frequently say, well, we do a lot of those things. Okay, great. I'm not saying that if you don't put it on the list, you can never talk about it and it's not part of your identity. I'm saying as for an exercise, go ahead and write down the 2 or 3 from each pillar that really make a difference. Okay, so no, hey, no. Rebecca, thank you for writing that, because we need to do this a little bit different. I want you to write from each pillar 3. Rudy, trustworthy, no cutting corners, company culture. Good, great. Rebecca, I want you to go back. Bedside manner. Which of those specific elements under bedside manner do you most closely map to? All right, Brett, workmanship, experience and expertise. I happen to know that that's true for you. Let's see, Christine, products, core values, and culture reputation. Okay, Christine, same thing that I said to Rebecca. I need you to go back, and from each of the 5 pillars, I need you to choose 3 things. So if it's workmanship, you're going to choose from no cutting corners, attention to detail, done right the first time, slow down for quality, quality materials, experience, worker oversight, no subs, training. Okay. Jason, let's see, integrity, teamwork, accountability. Great. That's perfect. Communication, accurate quotes, professionalism. That's from the bedside manner column. Excellent. Expertise, attention to detail, doing it right the first time. Nice. I like it. All right. Christine's coming back again. Quality materials, trustworthy, community outreach. Love it. Now, all I want you to do differently, Christine, is I want you to come up with 3 from each of the 5 columns. So let's do some quick math. If you come up with 3 from each of the 5 pillars, you're going to have 15 identity points. That's what we're gunning for here. We're gunning for 15 total identity points. Now, let me tell you how this is going to work. Once we've got the 15 identity points, first of all, let me repeat myself from a minute ago. You're not limiting yourself to just only those 15. This is an exercise. We've got to start somewhere. Let's start with 3 each from each of the 5 pillars for a total of 15. If there's a 4th one that you really want to sneak in there, then put it on there. I don't really care. If you can only find 2, we'll just use 2. But on average, we want about 15. All right, Christine, I see that you've got 15 total. Awesome. So that's where we're going to start. The next thing we're going to do, or at least the next thing I want you to know about this, is that you don't have to use all 15 equally in your marketing. Just because we've written them down on a list doesn't mean that we're going to give them equal weight. There is an exercise later where we can come in and we can weight each of the 15. And when you weight them, here's what that means. How much exposure, how much spotlight do you want to give that particular identity point? If you're writing radio commercials and you're going to produce, like we do for our clients, 3 to 4 radio commercials every 2 to 3 months over the course of an entire year, that might be 4 times 4, maybe 15 or 16 radio commercials. So here's the question that you're going to ask yourself as you're writing those radio commercials. How many radio commercials do I want to write about no cutting corners versus being punctual versus community outreach versus integrity versus more energy efficient versus no sales pressure, etc. So you can weight these later on, but right now we just got to get the stinking things out on a piece of paper so you can look at them. Tammy, core values, reliable, friendly, compassion. Awesome. Culture and reputation, associations, online reviews. Good. I love the start there, Tammy. Thanks for participating. All right. So do me a favor right now. If you haven't screenshotted this slide, or take your camera phone out and take a picture of it, because this is really important stuff. I want you to have this. This is my gift to you for attending today's webinar. Take this. And then we're going to move to the next slide, because the next slide is also important. You're also going to want to screenshot this one, if I can get to it, which is what I call the trust pyramid. The trust pyramid. Okay, I messed something up on my control panel. I hope I didn't destroy anything. Nope, I didn't. Okay, the trust pyramid. Here's how this works. Notice that there's 5 layers. The bottom layer is called identity points. These are the 15 points that you just identified. Those 15 points all by themselves in a list are just platitudes. We've got to take them now and transform them from being a platitude, better ingredients, better pizza, to being an identity. And we do that with the following layers of this pyramid. Next, stories, examples, and comparisons. So here's how this works. If you tell me that your company's core value is integrity, then I'm going to challenge you on that. And I'm going to say, okay, great. Your company is built on integrity. I hear you loud and clear. Do this. Give me an example. Tell me a story of a time when you actually deployed integrity that was obvious to somebody, that we can take and tell that story so that people can understand it. So it transforms from being just a word, integrity, to being actually believable. Remember, identity, using words, phrases, and images communicated with power, precision, and passion that instantly, definitively allow people to understand who you are, how you're different, why you're better, and what they can expect when they do business with you. If you don't have a story or an example or a comparison, I'm telling you, it's just a word. It's a platitude. So we start with the 15 points. That's the foundation of this pyramid. But then we've got to find the stories, the examples, and the comparisons. I will show you examples of what that looks like here in just a second. The next thing on top of that is social proof. Social proof is showing that other people have noticed and have appreciated what you do as it relates to that identity point. So if your identity point that you're talking about is integrity, to use that same example, then I want social proof. I don't want just online reviews of people saying, hey, your company's awesome, 2 thumbs up, I recommend you to anybody. That's good. But here's what's even better. Hey, I had a situation with this company where they came over to my house, and when they were replacing my roof, they completely destroyed my flowers. And I was so upset because I love those flowers. Well, John, the owner of that company, actually came in, acknowledged that they had messed up and ruined this section of flowers. And he came in and he actually spent over $600 to completely replace every single flower, not just the ones that he stepped on, but some of the other areas that weren't as good as I wanted. And he completely made it better than before he came and ruined my flowers. Look, mistakes happen. I understand that. And I want you to know that this is a company that really takes care of their customers. The integrity for them to do that is unbelievable, especially in the roofing industry. That is a story, right? And you say, well, crap, how do I get that story? Do I got to go ruin a bunch of people's flowers? And the answer is absolutely not. Here's what you got to do. You got to run a business, and during the normal course of business, guess what's going to happen? You're going to screw stuff up because it's life and it's business, and that's what happens. And here's what I want you to do. Next time you screw up, I want you to fix it, but then instead of just fixing it, I want you to go back to the person and I want you to say, hey, what'd you think about doing business with us? And I want you to take down their story, and then you can come over and write a blog post about it, and then you can put it in a radio commercial, then you can put it in a print ad. And now when people hear that and they see that, it's not that they think you're an idiot because you stepped on somebody's flowers. They think that you're awesome because you actually took care of it. And when you tell people that you have integrity, it actually makes sense now. They believe you now because here's the key. Remember what I said earlier, because you are now, telling your story, right? That's how it works. The next thing up is evidence on the trust pyramid. Evidence is anything that you can put together like you would in a court case that demonstrates that in fact you do whatever it is that bullet identity point is. I did a whole podcast on evidence. I'm not going to go into it in a lot of detail right now. Here's what I want to focus on is at the very top, you see where it says PE. That is not physical education class like it was when you were a kid. PE stands for personal experience. Here's what we're trying to accomplish through the combination of having the identity points and then telling the stories, giving the examples and the comparisons, then layering on the social proof and the evidence. Here's what we want to have happen. The end result is that the personal experience that the person actually has when you are actually in either phone or personal proximity to them, when they actually do business with you, or at least have you over to their house to give a sales presentation, we want everything that they thought, everything that they felt, everything that they learned based on your identity, the stories, the social proof, and the evidence. We want it to be 100% consistent with their actual personal experience. And when that is consistent, when their personal experience is consistent with everything that you've been telling them, that's when you get raving fans. Not customers, raving fans. So we want the personal experience is the pinnacle of the trust pyramid. Here's what most companies do. They have a crappy identity. Not a crappy company, but a crappy identity because they don't know how to communicate it. They don't know how to tell their story. They're using platitudes. So they spend all of their time, effort, and energy on having an unbelievable sales force that can come in, and during the entire blue pyramid that you see here is all personal experience. It's all the sales presentation. And they're trying to cram all of the trust into that one little presentation. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create trust by helping people understand who we are, how we're different, why we're better, communicating with power, precision, and passion, so that by the time you show up, they're already sold. They already love you. They already want to do business with you. They already know that you're the best. They already know that they're going to get screwed if they go somewhere else. They already know all of that. They're coming to you because you've already communicated it to them to whatever extent. And that's where the raving fans come from. Okay, that's the trust pyramid. So let me show you some examples here. Let's take Bedside Manner. That's the pillar. And we're going to take the point called no sales pressure. No sales pressure. And this is, whoops, I did not mean to do that. There we go. This is a blog post that we wrote for our client, Solid State Construction. And the header is Anatomy of a Remodeling Sales Gangster. And I think I can probably open this by clicking here. Let's see what happens. Oh man, I got a lot of stuff open. All right. Yeah, I'm on that page now. Remodeling, Anatomy of a Remodeling Sales Gangster. And then here's what you see. Sales gangster. And this is kind of tongue in cheek, right? Noun, a remodeling salesperson with a monster mentality who uses underhanded sales tricks, high pressure and deceit to force you to buy. The last person you'd ever want to invite in your home, the total opposite of a solid state construction project consultant. See diagram below. Telltale signs, you're dealing with a salesman who chooses high pressure solicitation over customer education. And then we show them this illustration that we came up with. Here's what a sales gangster looks like. Their eyes sizes you up like a lion, preying on a gazelle. Watch, loves to waste your time with 3-hour appointments. Now, I'm going to pause here. I want to be very, very clear on something. Here's what I am not saying. I am not saying, okay, create an illustration for all of your points. This happens to be the first one that I'm showing you. I happen to be showing you an illustration that's kind of tongue in cheek. That is a particular style. This is not the identity. This is not the definition of identity. This is an example. Okay. If we scroll down, then you'll see this Anatomy of a Solid State Project Consultant. And you can see that his ears listen, his mouth discusses, his watch is considerate, his legs step back and let you think things over. His hand guides you to the perfect products and budget, right? So that's how that works. Now let's go back over to our presentation. And now we're going to take this and create a radio commercial. So one way that we're going to communicate this is through the website, through this blog post. Another way we can communicate this is through a radio ad. Josh, do you have that queued up or do I need to queue it up?
I got it right here.
All right, play that. Now, before you play that, let me make one comment. The commercial that you're about to hear is for a different company. It doesn't use the nomenclature of remodeling sales gangster, although we could and we will with this client. This client doesn't happen to be on the radio right now, so I don't have that commercial. But this is a different way to communicate no sales pressure through a radio ad. Go ahead and play it, Josh.
If you're a real glutton for punishment, or you just don't like yourself very much, here's a fun activity to try. Call a bunch of replacement window companies and have them come over for an in-home demonstration. Trust me, you'll get crushed. First, they'll sit you in your house for 2 or 3 uncomfortable hours trying to make you cave in and buy. The guy will give you a ridiculous price, then offer you like 80% off, but only if you buy right then. Then he'll try to close you 8 ways till Sunday and make the schoolyard bully who extorts lunch money seem like a pushover. Think I'm kidding? Call a few and see for yourself. Or do this instead. Call Thermal King Windows. Our sales appointments are short, just enough to show you the window and answer your questions. We'll give you a firm number, then step back and let you decide. No arm twisting, no pressure. Give us a call at 888-KING-WIN or online at thermalkingwindows.com. If you call now, we'll give you a free...
All right, so I'm going to pause that because we don't need to listen to the very end of that, but that gives you an example. And again, we saw this on the blog page just a minute ago. Let me give you an idea of what this looks like in a mailing situation. Meet Tim. Tim sells replacement windows. Tim will sit in your home for 2.5 painful hours until you finally wear down and say yes. The back of that card might look something like this. You know how remodeling contractors have a bad reputation? Well, they earned it. Did you know that the average appointment for selling replacement windows clocks in at just over 2.5 hours? We're telling the story. We're giving comparisons. We're giving examples. Okay. Another way this might look, again, this is a postcard. I'm not leaving until you agree to buy my replacement windows. I don't care if it takes all night. Another version, most window companies send their salespeople to week-long sales boot camps. You don't even stand a chance. Next, No arm twisting, no 2.5-hour sales meetings, no compliance techniques, no uncomfortable silence, no hard closes, no regrets. And then we let them know we're talking about window replacement sales from Window Expo. Here's another one. The only remodeling contractor that promises not to use high pressure sales tactics in writing. And then we have an actual photo of the no pressure, no tricks, no pressure sales agreement that their salespeople sign. So that's all really cool. But Josh, I want you to show them how this works in terms of using Hatch.
Yeah, that's great. And these are really good examples, too, real life examples. And this is an example of how you would message a homeowner when you're setting the appointment or when you're warming up the appointment before it actually happens. We can automate this all in Hatch. So, for example, if somebody comes on your website, they come in through Modernize, Home Advisor, whatever, you can instantly send a text message that might look something like this if they book the appointment. So, hey, Josh, this is Jeff from Solid State Construction, looking forward to our appointment. Here's what to expect from me as your project consultant. And then you can surface up the anatomy of a solid state project consultant. This is just an example of how you can utilize one of your, one of those pillars. And one of the components of that pillar is no sales pressure in your messaging. And this we've seen to be very effective. So, if you're building out this content, you have that identity built out. You guys have already written all that down. Start mapping, different things that you guys do up with each of those particular core values that we discussed earlier, and use that in your messaging here. And with Hatch, we can automate all this through text, email, and voicemail.
Okay, now I'm gonna do a big no-no. I don't know if it's a no-no or not. It's probably a no-no. I'm gonna go backwards in this presentation for just a second, and I'm gonna go up to these postcards. I'm gonna tell you about these postcards for a second. These postcards are the reason that I'm sitting here on a webinar with Hatch today. This is how we used to, in the old days, implement this stuff. These postcards are actually sit no sale, rehash, follow-up postcards. And this is how we used to do it in the old days. We'd say, okay, you closed 30% of your deals, and so you had 70% that didn't close. So here's what we're going to do. Over the next literally year to 2 years, we're going to send a postcard every 2 to 3 weeks that are going to tell people who we are, how we're different, why we're better. We're going to continue to attempt to get them in for a follow-up, a resale, or we might send these to what we call neighborhood mailers for people that live in neighborhoods that have needs for windows, because we know that we've sold lots of windows in that neighborhood. We used to do this kind of thing. We would send out postcards. You can now do this via freaking text. So you could work with Josh and his team over there, and you could say, hey, see this postcard that says meet Tim, 10 sales replacement windows? We could take this, create it into an image like you just saw. Let me go back. And instead of having this little image of the little sales guy cartoon, we could actually have Tim, or we could take this, or this, or this, or anything. And now we can use these again for appointment setting, for warming, but also on the back end for sit no sales, for previous customers. We can be sending our identity to people. Look, it costs money to use Hatch. That's no secret. Obviously, to use somebody's service that's got this much value, it's going to cost money. But besides the fee of using Hatch, it's free to send this in any quantity. It's amazing. You know how much time, effort, hassle, and money it takes to execute these freaking postcards? This is why nobody wants to do it. They're like, yeah, this is great, but it's breaking our brain just trying to freaking manage this stupid thing. We go, all right, great. We use this thing called Hatch. Instead of U.S. Postal Service, we'll use their own freaking phone with their own freaking little iMessage, and we'll send this stuff to them. This is a 1,000,000% no-brainer on two fronts. Number one front, get your identity into people's hands. And number two, use Hatch to do it. I was having this conversation just yesterday with Josh. I said, Josh, here's what's awesome about this. Hatch without identity is a great tool that's going to remind people. It's going to set the stage. It's going to make a big difference. But when you then layer on top of it this identity, it just makes it that much more powerful. It's the same difference as having an identity-based website versus just a nice-looking website, or an identity-based advertising campaign versus just a campaign that's getting your message out there. Josh, I think you got a comment.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real here. The open rate on text messages are a lot higher than a mailer. So you're looking at, we see like a 98% open rate on a text message, and they're opened within 3 minutes typically versus a mailer. I mean, you might not even get in front of that homeowner that was a sit no sale or requested a quote, whatever.
All right, let's keep going here. We're gonna round third. We're heading for home right now. We're gonna be done. I'm just gonna show you a couple more examples. This one is Workmanship, and the identity point is slow down for quality. Remember, that was on one of those pillars. It was on the Workmanship pillar. So let me show you what this looks like. I'll just go ahead and click through to this again now that I see how this works. Come on. All right. We give our text incentive to slow down and do it right instead of hurry up and get to the next job. Some Southern California heating and air conditioning companies schedule 8 to 12 calls a day, way too many. And then we go on and talk about how we do far less than that, what a rushed heating and air conditioning tune-up or repair is like, how we do it, how they do it. We're setting the stage, how we're different. Then we can come over here and we can put together print ads. So here's what the print ad would look like. We slow down to do the job right instead of hurrying up to get to the next job. Or in a fast-paced, hurried world, we slow down to do the job right. We can also run a radio commercial, which we do for this exact identity point. Can you play that, Josh?
Yes, sir.
This is Leland Smith from Service Champions Heating and Air Conditioning. Did you know that we give our technicians incentives to slow down and do the job right instead of hurry up and get to the next job? It's true. Most companies assign their technicians 6 to 8 calls a day, and 4 is considered a minimum. But our technicians on average are only scheduled 2 to 3 calls a day. That allows them to slow down and actually listen to you. Imagine that. It also allows us to properly diagnose and fix problems. And in the event of a tune-up, it allows us to actually perform a thorough tune-up so that your system will last another year without a problem, instead of just quickly looking for big, expensive problems and moving on like the other guys do. At the end of the day, we acknowledge our technicians based on quality, not quantity. That's why we truly are service champions. Give us a call. Just dial all 7s.
Okay, so you can see how that works. Now, your question is, does this actually work? And the answer is, I don't know. In the last 5 years since I've been working with Service Champions, they went from 30 million to 60 million in sales. Is that strictly because we put this marketing program in place? No, obviously there's a lot of factors that grow a company from 30 to 60 million dollars in sales. But I'm gonna tell you, the message is consistent. We run these ads everywhere all the time based on identity. This company really leans heavy into the way that their technicians look, that they're friendly. They have something called a happy money promise, and they have something called good deeds for free, where they really work to find little nice things that they can do for their clients. And we talk about them and tell the stories and tell the stories and tell the stories all the time. It works. I've got one more example for you, and then I've got an offer for you, and then we're going to be done. So let's go to the next example. Oh, wait, first, sorry, Josh, show this one on Hatch. My bad.
Well, no, it's all good. You were talking about sit no sale and rehash earlier. This is a good example of how you would leverage something like this in a sit no sale rehash type of campaign that we can run. And this is just an example here. It's Jeff from Service Champions. I want to follow up on your quote. Any reason to not move forward? Unlike other folks in the area, we will slow it down and do it right. This approach, when you rehash a sit no sale, typically gets anywhere from a 60 to 80% response rate, and people that implement this kind of thing in their business get upwards of like a 15% close rate. So all I've got to say, guys, is, make sure that you're leveraging your identity in all your homeowner communications. And this is a good example of doing that in a rehash scenario.
All right, I'm going to give you a watchword. Write this down, tattoo it. The word is engagement. So what we're doing is we're using a tool, which is called Hatch. And instead of just touching the prospect, which is a great step, we're going to touch them with something that is hopefully more engaging than just, hey, is there any reason you didn't move forward? Let us know if we can help you. We're giving them an engaging piece of information. We're building our case of who we are, how we're different, why we're better, and what they can expect when they do business with us. I love this. I love it with a capital L. All right, let's go to the last example. Culture, no insurance fraud. Okay. No insurance fraud. This gets into a discussion for roofing companies about how roof insurance claims really work. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this example because we are butting up against the end of the webinar here, but suffice it to say, we've got blog posts. Let's go ahead. Do you have a radio commercial for this one, Josh? I think you do.
I do, yeah.
Let's play this one real quick.
Hi there, Robert OJ here from Easy Home Solutions, and I want to throw a red flag on roofing salesmen who try to sell you a new roof after a storm. Red flag number one is when they offer to pay your deductible or give you any kind of incentive, rebate, or anything. That's illegal in the state of Missouri, a big no-no, but sadly it's really common. If a salesman tries to break the law in your home, show them the door. Red flag number two is pressuring you into signing a contract on the first visit. Really? What's the rush? Well, they don't want you to do any due diligence because you might discover they're from out of town. They have no reputation and they offer tail light warranties. At Easy Home Solutions, we honor all state laws and we never pressure you into buying on the first visit. We give you time to check us out and decide for yourself. It's a better way, a respectful way. Give us a call at 3.
All right, so you can see how that works. You can see how that works. So that's what we're trying to accomplish with that. And again, Josh, I think it's self-evident now how this works with Hatch. This is awesome. I love this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great example of how you would use, what differentiates yourself, and that's the fact that, hey, we don't have fraudulent business practices like other folks in the area. So typically dead leads that are just sitting in your CRM, which, by the way, you're sitting on a gold mine in your CRM. These dead leads you haven't touched in 6, 12, 18 months. Revisit them with something like this. Hey, are you still looking for replacing your roof? Maybe they put the project on hold, whatever it was. You can say something like this. Yeah, make sure you avoid fraud by following these steps. This again is a piece of content. It's not saying, are you ready to buy right now? It's asking them a simple question. Are you ready to replace your roof, or are you still looking to replace your roof? And then give them a piece of helpful content. And you'll establish a lot of trust and credibility with that homeowner.
I love it. I love it a lot. Thanks for sharing us that example with us. And I'm just super stoked to see this sample of Hatch doing its thing with highly engaging identity-based content. Really makes me happy. All right. Like you said, CRM is a gold mine. We've got one more example here for integrity. You'll see here on the right, that example I gave earlier about stepping on the flowers actually happened. It's actually a blog post on Exterior Pro. You can go look that up on their website. You can see on the left, we tell a story about the time when we installed piers and it failed and why it failed and what we did to fix the problem. You can also see on the next slide, we've got a newspaper ad by Energy Swing Windows. Local company loses $8,200 on botched project. Owner says he'd do it again in a heartbeat. This is all talking about the identity point under core values called integrity. Integrity. Let me go back one slide. Again, here's when we failed integrity. Here's what we did to fix it. Here's when we stepped on flowers and ruined them. Integrity. Here's what we did to fix them. Here's when we botched the door project twice, if you read the story, and here's what we did to fix it. Okay. So again, last time here, we can take this and we can send this out via text messages to our prospects proactively.
Yeah, I would use this post-sale pre-construction type of thing, where the homeowner, you might be booking jobs out 3 months down the line, especially with material shortages going on right now. So with the post-sale pre-construction type of message, you'll make sure that you're able to get that job done and the homeowner doesn't back out, which we've seen recently is homeowners are, I don't know, buyer's remorse or what it is. But if you stay in communication with them during this dark period, post-sale pre-construction, you'll be golden. You'll increase that likelihood of actually finishing that job and collecting that full check.
So let me ask you this, Josh. In the event of working with a contractor that does not have a lot of identity-based engaging content like this, which I'm going to assume is the majority, what would you send instead? I'm assuming it would be some sort of just a reminder or something.
Yeah, reminders about where the product is that's being delivered is always really helpful. It's also helpful sending folks more information about the warranty that they receive, for example, with the new roof. So there's a lot of things that you can do to touch people if you don't have something specific related to this identity, and we'll work with you hand in hand to service that for you.
Okay, awesome. All right.
Just skip through this. I mean, this is just really what we do is put these messaging tactics on autopilot. Rich, you said it best earlier.
Yeah. Look, if you have any interest in this at all, talk to the folks over at Hatch. They'll give you the quote unquote sales pitch, but it won't feel like it because you'll just be looking at it going, yeah, this is a no brainer. Okay, so here's what I want to do is I want to leave you with an offer for an audit of your website. If you hire a salesperson that doesn't really work out, you spend a lot of money, time, effort, energy to train them, and then they go out in the field and they don't sell very well. They only close at 10% instead of your company average 30 or 35%. How many weeks do you let them go out there into the field and continue to only close at 10%? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks, 20 weeks? Most people give up and they eat their losses after about 2, 3, 4 weeks. And you know, it's really weird with websites and SEO. Companies will hang on to an existing website simply because they spent money and invested time and effort and energy into it, even though it's not identity based, it's not doing its job, it's performing the equivalent of a 10% closer salesperson, but they just keep holding on because they don't want to eat the money that they've already spent. My suggestion is you probably need to fire the salesperson in that analogy, but also in the case of your website, if it's not identity based and it's not telling your story and it doesn't help people understand who you are, how you're different, why you're better, what they can expect when they do business with you, it's costing you money, and it's costing you a ton of money. It is costing you big time. The $20,000 that you put into your website to build it is a very small fraction of what it is probably costing you if it's not doing its job right. So here's what I want to do. I want to help you understand whether or not your site is functioning like it should. We're going to do a site audit summary, a site audit for you. It's going to be broken into two parts, what we call findability, which you see right here on the screen, and also conversionability. Findability is how well your site does at getting found by Google when people search for what you sell. Conversionability is a measurement of how well your website does at converting website traffic from any source into a lead. And we're going to grade it on a 100-point scale. It's going to be broken down into sub-points so you can see exactly how and where your site is good and how and where your site is failing and needs some help. So this is something that I'd like to offer you. It takes us about a week to 2 weeks to get them done, depending on how many people request them. So Josh, if you'll do me a favor and launch the poll, would you like Level 10 to audit your website? Yes or no? If you don't want us to do it, that's fine. Just say no. If there's something else you'd like to talk to us about besides the web audit, then you can click on that choice. But if you'd like us to do that website audit, go ahead and choose yes on the poll, and we will reach out to you. You'll be hearing from Gam from our office, who will reach out to you and schedule. Well, first of all, he'll figure out what website it is that you want us to audit, and then he'll set an appointment to talk to me personally in about a week to 10 days once we get those done. And then I'll get on the phone with you for about 45 minutes to an hour, go through the web audit in detail, talk about your identity in detail. And if you need to put together a game plan to fix some things, then we'll put together a game plan. If everything's good, then we'll send you on your way. So I think that should probably do it for the poll. And then another poll question, would you like to see the Hatch messaging app for contractors in action? So if you want to close that poll and start the other one.
Yeah, I've seen one of these from Rich at Level 10. Really good stuff, actionable information. So highly recommend.
I'm going to tell you something about this web audit. The average score out of 100 is usually about 20. There's always a lot of room for improvement. Okay, would you like to see Hatch? Yes, no, or I'd like more information first. I can't recommend it strongly enough. I am in the process of getting all of my clients signed up on Hatch. We just had one client that went live last Wednesday, and I got on a call with them 15 minutes after Hatch went live. And it was hilarious because they said, oh my gosh, we've already got 2 messages back. These were for sit-no sales. And I said, oh, well, that's good. And they said, well, not really. And I said, what do you mean not really? And he said, because we've heard from 2 so far, and they're both pissed because our salesperson screwed them over, didn't send them the quote when they were supposed to, and they're angry. And I said, good, now you know. And sure enough, that evened out. And I think after the first, I looked at it, I think after 4 days, and they had received something like 11 out of 15 people that they had sent the sit no sale text messages to had already replied, and they already had some follow-up meetings. So it's already working really, really well. All right, go ahead and end that poll. And I think we're about done here. I'll take any questions if anybody wants to submit a question. Just a quick reminder on your screen for the Level 10 Contractor Daily Podcast. If you'd like to contact me directly, you can email me at rich@level10contractor.com. And I'd be happy to take any questions. Rebecca says, already a Level 10 client, love working with you guys. Thank you, Rebecca. We love working with you too.
Rich,
any questions though about the content today from anybody else? If not, we will conclude the webinar. If so, I'll stay and answer questions for as long as people have them.
Rich, we got one question that came in. It's how long does it take to get the identity built? Which I think is an interesting question, maybe a loaded question.
Well, it depends on what you're doing. So like we do Facebook advertising for clients. That's where we actually started with Rebecca, who I just mentioned. And when we do Facebook, we put together a microsite that's not a full website, just enough. We direct the traffic from Facebook to this microsite. It's usually about 4 or 5 pages long. And it has what I would call kind of a skeleton version of your identity. We'll actually sit down with the client, go through an identity consultation, and we'll come up with what I would consider to be a light version of the identity. And that'll launch usually within just a few days. For full websites, it takes a lot longer. There's a lot more conversation that goes in because, look, it's going to be there for a long time. A lot of people are going to see it. It's going to be super, super important. So we're going to put more effort, time, and energy into that identity that goes into websites. So that process, building a website takes about 90 days, but the identity portion of that takes a good solid couple of weeks through interviews, writing things up, sending them to you for review, fine-tuning them, and so forth. Yeah.
I'll be the first one to say, Rich, we've got a lot of shared customers, and they're absolutely crushing it with your program. So I can't speak highly enough about Rich, what he's doing at Level 10 and his team. And really, thanks everybody for jumping on here. I know we went over, but we hardly lost any attendees throughout going over. So I hope that information was really good for you. We're going to be sending out the presentation after this webinar, so you guys can reference those 5 pillars that Rich talked about earlier. And we'll be in touch. And I'm certainly Rich will be in touch with respect to the website audits. We'll make sure we get those websites off to Rich so he can ship those off to you. And then Hatch will be in touch with those of you guys who were interested in scheduling a demo with us. We'll get you set up there. Rich, thanks so much for hopping on. This was super, super great information. And I mean, I'm going to take this back to my marketing team and try to see how I can apply it to our software company here.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, everybody, for attending. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.